everyone, my name is Heinisha Malone, and I am the Vice President of the West Garfield Park Youth Council. And we believe that we are the solution to the issues in our community. Our theme is Nothing With Us, Without Us. The West Garfield Park Youth Council is sponsored by Fathers Who Care, which is a nonprofit organization located on the west side of Chicago within the West Garfield Park community. Again, everyone, my name is Heinisha Malone, and I am the Vice President of the West Garfield Park Youth Council. The West Garfield Park Youth Council is comprised of 15 young people from our community whose focus and concern is youth leadership and a voice within the community to reduce senseless violence and illegal substance abuse. We invite people from all over, especially young people, to come in and see what we are all about. Our show will be scheduled every Thursday at 7 p.m. Again, that is every Thursday at 7 p.m. We would like to encourage calls from people watching to leave their questions and comments at 312-738-1060. Again, the number is 312-738-1060. Our show can also be viewed online at www.cantv.org/live. Again, that website is www.cantv.org/live. Well, everyone, I would like to introduce our guests, which is Carlos Rodriguez and Catalina.
Thanks for having us, Heinisha.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And they are the program managers at West Care. Well, Carlos is the program manager at West Care. And again, my name is Heinisha Malone, and I'm the Vice President of the West Garfield Park Youth Council. You are watching a live interactive call-in television program brought to you on CanTV 21. During the next 25 minutes, we are going to discuss the 7 challenges for young people with alcohol and other drug problems. We invite our viewers watching to call in with your questions and comments at 312-738-1060. Again, that number is 312-738-1060. Our phone lines are now open. So today's topic is on the 7 challenges for young people with alcohol and other drug problems. And now I have a few questions for Carlos and Catalina. So first, Carlos can answer this question. Who are you and what is your purpose for existing?
I love that question. Thanks, Aisha. Before I answer that question, I want to again thank you, and I want to thank the Reverend Jones from Fathers Who Care for giving us, sharing this space with us, and I'm so glad we get to spend time together away from the youth council. So, but even though I feel a little bit nervous on TV,
Me too.
Yeah, but that's okay. So first of all, I'm the program director at West Care over a 5-year grant program, but I'm also a real proud husband of my wife Nitsa, proud father of my son Galliano, a wonderful young man. So he's not my little son anymore. But my purpose really is to be of maximum service, really, to my fellow human beings in the community. I mean, if you think about it, and also I tell bad jokes, right? That's my other purpose.
They be good jokes sometimes.
You're just being nice to me. But let me say this, I always talk about my grandpa, and I have to give him honor because he was such an influence with me, right? I mean, he was that older man that I could go to when my father was struggling. I called him my Mexican Yoda. Remember I told you guys that? Because he always had these wise sayings. And so he would have these proverbs. We call them dichos in Spanish. And he told me one time, he says, Cuando brilla el sol, brilla para todos. Okay, so what that means is that when the sun shines, it shines for everybody. And I think of that and I go, you know what? That's really my purpose, is to really work in the community, to really bring people together. My grandpa was one of those people that didn't believe in documents or undocumented people, or that we all share the earth.
Right.
So that's me.
Right.
Tell us a little about you, Carolina, our prevention specialist at
Yes,
West Care.
so my name is Carolina. I work at West Care. I've been at West Care for a year now. I turned a year on October 9th exactly. So it's been a year. It's been so quick. But I am a mother of 2. I have a 13-year-old, well, soon to be 13-year-old in less than a month. And I have a 3-year-old daughter. And then my purpose is to work with, I've been working with youth and young adults, ages 16 to 22. So yeah, that's my purpose, just work with them and then just give them my support, whether it's in school or over the summer through the One Summer Chicago program.
Right. Okay, so Carlos, what is National Youth Alcohol and Substance Abuse Prevention Month to you?
Well, right now we're right in the middle of it here in October, right?
Yep.
So we know that there are millions of people in the United States that suffer, right, from drug and alcohol problems, and particularly young people that, let me just say this, it includes underage drinking, right? And so there's alcohol abuse, non-medical marijuana use, non-medical prescription drugs. You have over-the-counter medications and other illicit drug use. But so the thing is that people need to know this, that young people between the ages of 12 and 20 actually make up 11% of the country's monthly alcohol consumption. And so what we want to do is raise awareness. That's probably around 22 million people. That's a lot of people, so it
That
impacts
is
a
a lot.
lot of people. So what we want to do is raise awareness,
22 million.
get people to understand that these issues just don't rise out of nowhere, that we want to get to the roots of these issues and help people, so that they can have, happier lives,
Right.
essentially, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So what is the 7 challenges and why is it different from other youth groups?
Yeah, I really like that. That's why we're here tonight, I think, right, to talk a little
Right.
bit about this. So I'm going to put this up so people can see what I would like people to Google the 7 challenges. So you have to put the word the in front of it to read more about it. What I love about this program is that it really works with young adults where they're at. What I mean when I say that is you're never going to hear Catalina or I say drugs are bad or you should do this or you should do that. We actually engage the young people where they're the problem solvers.
Right.
And we're the problem solving partners, right? That don't mean I ain't going to challenge you, right? So if you're doing something that may be hurting you, I'm going to ask you actually, what are the good things about like getting high? What are the things that might not be so good? Like I remember this one young guy came to me one time. He says, Carlos, man, ain't no big deal getting high and stuff. And I said, did you ever think about like what happens like with your mom? And he goes, what are you talking about? It ain't hurting her. And he goes, well, you told me that your mom has to leave work and sometimes she misses her wages to come take you to court. And sometimes with your little sister, she has to leave her alone while she brings you to our groups. And so it broadened his perspective, right, about like, is it really worth it to keep using or not, right? I guess the last thing is that the thing about the challenges is it's really like ways for people to make healthier and wiser decisions about their lives, right? So the challenges don't have to be worked in order. You don't even have to talk about drugs or alcohol. I mean, one of the beauties is you can replace the words drugs or alcohol. Like say I'm having a problem with my mom. I could say, we decided to open up and talk honestly about myself and about why I struggle with my mom, right? So it allows the young person to actually run the group, if that
Right,
makes
and
sense.
let them like choose their own paths of what they want to work on.
Right. So the posters up there and the challenges is for them to help them get their mind straight, to focus on something, because within the challenges you can see you can work on problems that are bothering you. You can actually just talk honestly about some of the fun you're doing, and also what's more important to a lot of young people is what are some goals you have, and then Catalina and I help them with those goals, right? Help them plan those short-term goals, right? So it gets this whole power struggle about whether or not drugs are good or bad out of the way, and it's just we're actually adults that actually help them think about it a little more clear. Does that help?
Yeah.
Okay.
Why is it important to understand how drugs and alcohol can affect students?
Wow, it's really important. I mean, I think I always like to think of this in terms of what happens with the brain. So I'm going to start with that, right? So there's 3 times in a person's life when the brain is really developing a lot. The first time is before the baby's born, so in utero. So we want to keep mom happy and healthy, give her good foods, and help her keep calm, right? Because that actually impacts the baby's growth.
Right.
From birth until age 5. And I ain't got to tell you parents what that means, right? That young person is learning how to talk, to crawl, to walk, where to feel safe, where to get love, right? How to take care of their needs, how to play with people and all that. And then finally the last part is approximately ages 13 to 25, okay? So what's happening is the brain is developing. If you introduce different things into that brain system, whether it's a violent situation or drugs or alcohol, it can really change the way that brain functions, right? There's a part of the brain, so we're going to do a little basic brain science.
Okay.
It's called the prefrontal cortex. And that part of the brain actually helps us think about if I do X, then Y can happen, right? So for a person the ages 13 to 25, that's not fully developed yet. And so it's a very sensitive time, and so we want to protect that as much as possible. I mean, I told my son, Hainisha, I said, you know what, son, if you cannot use drugs or alcohol before age 25, you probably aren't going to ever have a drug or alcohol problem. of course he's going to be with his friends. He may try stuff or whatever. I can't control that, but I think the main message is let's take care of that, right? Let's take care of that brain. I don't know if you wanted to add anything else, because you work with a lot of young people with drug or alcohol issues going on. Why would it be important, like, to you, especially as a parent?
Well, I mean, I'm gonna talk about, I do work with students, right? That that are around like drugs and alcohol. And like today, I was actually at Pathways, an education school. So I just met this girl, a student, and she says she felt comfortable like talking to me. She did tell me that she's been having issues related to drugs and alcohol. She says she's been, she wants to, she needs help. She told me she needs help because she don't want that life anymore. She has a child, 7-month-old baby. She says she don't want that for herself or the baby. And she's actually married. She's like married. So the husband, she's actually getting help from her husband. She's also helping her out. She's seeing a therapist right now at the moment. Because she says she wants to get better. And I also think, like I said, I have a son. He's almost going to be 13 years old. And like Carlos was saying, as a parent, we can say like, okay, this is bad, don't do this because, but it's like when they're around with their friends, we're not sure what they're doing. But yes, I also talk to my son about this. And, I tell him what I do at work. And I tell him, you need to trust me, if anything, is going on, that you don't want to do with your friends, you have to, talk to me, trust me, and then just let me know, whenever you have any questions, because I feel like as he's getting older, he's going to have questions about, like, drugs, because if you go to, like, any school, like, even 8th graders, 7th graders now know about, like, drugs and alcohol.
Right.
So, like, it's better for you to ask, me, because I am your parent instead of your friends.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to add this for Catalina is that, one of the things that's so good about Catalina and the way she works with young people is that she already understands as a parent, as an adult, that education is really important. So some of the time, Catalina is the reason that they want to go to school because it's an adult that actually cares about them and listens to them. And so we know that, potentially drugs and alcohol use could make a young person lazy. They don't want to go to school. They don't have that motivation to go. And I think that's another thing that needs to be added, right? And why the 7 challenges is important, because it's a group that's going to be peer-based. So the young people are going to run the group, and we're going to be there as adults that care about them, right? That makes sense?
Yep. Okay, so when a student goes into the 7 challenges group, what can she or he expect to happen?
Oh, yeah. I'll tell you something. They're going to see a real change, that the adults actually aren't telling them what to do, which I told you about, right? And that they actually care about them. But at the same time, like good parents know out there, is that you're going to challenge them, right? We're going to do something a little bit different from other groups, though. We're going to ask curious questions, right? You're not going to hear us go, well, when you went out the other night and you were getting high, didn't you think that you were going to hurt your little brother? Or didn't you think, no, it's going to be, tell us more about your use. Tell us more about what you were doing. And then we might ask those questions. How does your little brother think about that, or your little sister? What do they think about that? And so the group is something that we want to, like, we call it undoing negative expectations, right? Because people come to group and they're like, oh, really? This is going to be boring. Or it's going to be adults talking at you. We do a little talking at the beginning just to make sure they understand that the group is theirs, and then we introduce the challenges and talk about the group agreements. But then they're going to be the ones that do the work, and they'll bring in topics that are relevant and important in their lives, right? I think, go ahead.
And just to add to what Carlos is saying, and we already have like students, well, so far I have students that have, told me like, well, I like you guys because, I like the groups because you guys don't tell me like, oh, stop doing this, because like Carlos mentioned earlier, we meet them where they're at, right? So we're trying to help them, but they say like, oh, because you guys are not pointing us out and be like, and like, saying like, oh, hey, you're doing wrong. I mean, that's what they don't want. They don't want us to say that. They're like, just, we're going to go from there, like, they like that, we're trying to get to meet them and, see, how we can help them.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, because I feel like kids, they don't want to they don't want to feel like they being like tormented because of something, because of a mistake that they made, and then getting talked at and then getting yelled at about it and stuff like that. They want somebody who gon' like understand where they coming from, understand why they did it, and like have a talk with them as to why they did what they did, instead of like, oh, you shouldn't have started doing this, you messing up your life. Like, it's always a way to like come back from bad things that happen and stuff like that.
Yes, or even like talk about consequences. So what could have happened, So yeah.
Yeah. And hey, I want to be real clear. I mean, the young people come back, they're young adults, right? And we want to treat them that way, right? The idea is that let's have a discussion about things, and let's make sure that what you're coming to group about is about something that makes sense to you, right? I mean, why would I go somewhere where it's like, okay, they're just going to talk about things in general, right? I'd rather go to a place where I can get feedback from adults that care about me, but also what's even more important is getting feedback from each other, right? From peers, right? So they can really weigh it out, because eventually they're going to have to take charge of their lives anyway. Right. I mean, they are in charge. Exactly. Who are we kidding, right? And so, but we also want them to know that there are people out there they can turn to if they're really struggling. I mean, I wish I had something like this when I was young. I've told you the stories about my dad coming back from Vietnam and his drinking and stuff, and I think back and I'm like, God, I wish I would have had like a Catalina or somebody to be able to just get that off my chest, right? Yep. So that's what the group is about, right? So they think they're going to come in and people are going to talk at them, but in fact they're in charge, right? And we do different things to help them.
Okay. So now I want to take a second to talk about an event that's coming up. This is the Thanksgiving celebration and the food drive. The food drive will be November 8th through November 15th, and it will be held at Michelle Clark High School, which is 5101 West Harrison, from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m., and we are accepting donations as well. The Thanksgiving celebration will also be held at Michelle Clark November 17th, and that will be from 5:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. Now on to the next question. It's like, okay, I want to talk about the youth councils on Thursday nights.
Yay.
So basically it's like, it's a Zoom. We do a Zoom call every Thursday, get youth together to talk about substance abuse, alcohol usage, and then we talk about like the violence that's going on in the community, different opportunities that could be, given to kids because they feel like they don't have as many opportunities, so it's like they roam free and they just do whatever because it's nothing that they feel like is productive for them to do right now. And we talk about like stuff that we doing like that. And I want to just get like your insight on like the groups and like how do you feel about it and if you feel like it's helping and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, first of all, can I say I love the youth council? Is that okay? Because,
yeah.
I started with you guys back in December, right? So it's almost been a year.
Yep.
And this is a place where you and Princess make sure that people feel safe. And actually, what I said a while ago, we actually challenge people to work on that prefrontal cortex, right? To start thinking about things a little bit deeper, right? Whether we talk about violence or the vaccination or drugs and alcohol. And you guys do such a great job of making it fun too. Like tonight, we did drug Jeopardy, which was funny.
Game night,
right? Yeah, y'all didn't have a chance because I was on the winning team.
Yeah, you know a lot. You
that
was
wasn't
helping
fair.
me.
I'm glad you were on my team. Or tonight we'd be mad at each other.
Yeah, we would have lost.
No, but one more thing I was going to say is that the good thing is you really do take your time to look at the positives and negatives of things and try to be inclusive. So we have really young people that come that are and then we have like older adolescents, right? The ones that are really just entering adulthood or maybe leaving high school. So it's a really nice mix and people seem to really respect each other.
Right. So many groups don't do a lot of stuff, many groups are like really boring, but I heard that you guys went on a yacht on Lake Michigan. So what?
You guys, us guys.
So what kind of other fun activities do you offer or do you guys have coming up?
Yeah.
And how was that experience?
Yeah. Well, you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So I know for some of the students, it was their first time being on a yacht, and actually it was my second time.
For real?
It was my first
time.
too.
Yes, and I was excited. So we got a lot of good feedback from them. They were excited. They were asking, when are we gonna do another one? Oh, is it gonna happen pretty like anytime soon? So I'm pretty sure. I'm not pretty sure. I know they had a good time. You know, even they told their families, you know, like, oh, I was on a yacht. They were taking pictures. They were like on their Facebook Live, sending Snapchats, calling their families like on
On the
FaceTime. You know, they were
on
so
the front of the
excited.
boat too.
Right. They were, yes. So I mean, you know, they had a good time. Some activities we have coming up. I mean, we had another. It was the Saturday. It was like a pizza day. It was. We had like students from a school come over. They also had a good time, and it was also like a game day and like getting to know them. We also had like teachers come over, staff. Yeah, so we did that on a Saturday. We're gonna have a Halloween day. We're gonna watch scary movies. We're trying to see if one of the teachers can talk to the principal and see if they can wear like a costume. But if not, they think it's gonna be fun if they could wear like a Halloween shirt. Just have it like a Halloween. And it's actually on the 29th. So it's a Friday. So it's like 2 days before Halloween. So they're really excited for that. We're also gonna have pizza for them. You know, like, yeah, a lot of, even games. So we're gonna do games and a movie.
Okay.
So yeah.
Yeah, so I was going to add this is that, you know, I think, and, you know, the Reverend does such a good job of thinking about how can I reach out into the community, make sure that people know that this is a safe place, but also bridging the gaps between people that think they have differences, right? I mean, when we were out on the yacht, we had young people from the south side and the west side, right? We had Latino kids, black kids, we got, you know, it was like, you know, and of course all of us were like, wow, I've never done this before. But then it was really funny because you find out that people have more things in common than they do different, right? So everybody was having a good time and things, and then of course, you know, when you get some food too, that always makes it fun too.
Yeah, but is there anything else that's coming up, you know, that's gonna like go on in the youth council or anything that you guys are planning on doing anytime soon?
Yeah, you know, I'm not sure. I know that the Reverend had mentioned maybe doing a helicopter ride, and so of course that I'm not going to forget that. We'll go home to that. But I think the other thing is that, you know, a lot of young people, besides wanting to have fun, they want to give back to the community. I mean, you mentioned the food drive. We're gonna encourage our youth council to get out there and help
Give it to
deliver
them.
food, right? And then of course the other events that we have in the community to raise awareness, right? I think those things are really important. And then of course we want to get feedback, right, from the youth council. What kind of things do you think you would like to do, right? Always combining our themes with those things, right? So to make sure that people are working on that thinking part of the brain, right? As well as having a good time, yeah. So I'm sure there's going to be some good stuff coming up. I know that as school is now, people are getting their rhythm back now that they're finally going back in person. We're going to start seeing some more young people coming back to the council.
Why are young people using illegal substances and or trying to escape reality? And this question is for Carolina.
Yeah, so I believe that I'm not gonna say all, but maybe some young people are using illegal substances because I believe maybe they're around friends that do illegal substances, or even not only friends, maybe family, and they don't feel pressure, but maybe like they're like, well, you know, well, let's say my friend, my cousin's doing it, well, I want to do it too. Another thing is that they're growing up, they're becoming teenagers, and they just have curiosity. They want to know how it feels. So I feel like, yes, or sometimes, you know, they could be like pressure, you know, like friends pressuring them, like, you know, come on, try it, you're going to feel good, you're going to be cool, you know. And then I think they're trying to escape reality, maybe because we don't know what they have something going on, you know. They might be, you know, feeling stressed, you know, when it comes to school. Or maybe they have a job, you know, having a job and, you know, school, it's stressing them out. You know, maybe something at home, you know, having problems with parents, with older siblings, you know. Yeah.
Do you have anything?
No, I think she covered it really good. I mean, I think the thing that we want to really understand is that people use drugs and alcohol for a variety of reasons, and we can't be judgmental, right? I mean, I've met so many people that have had really tough things happen when they were really young, and I know they were using to self-medicate, right, to help them feel better. So why am I going to go in and say, you know, you can't do that, right? I mean, the thing is let's understand what's going on. And then, you know, my thing is I've always told teachers this, and administrators, is that if a kid gets caught using drugs or alcohol at school, they come in high, don't push them away.
Yeah, they
need
just
to-
expel them and
Yeah.
like let them stay out of school,
Yeah.
but that's not really solving nothing. They just gonna do it somewhere else.
No, my friend Luis Rodriguez, he said a very important thing to me that I'll never forget. He says, when something like that happens, it usually means that there's a sign that something important is going on in that young person's life. So instead of pushing it away, we want to pull them closer. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah, so, I mean, where else to go but, you know, a young adult and two adults like us to be able to work with them and,
Right.
and make sure that we understand them and keep them safe, right, eventually.
Yep.
That's the bottom line.
How long have you been mentoring and empowering young people, and what have you learned from them, Catalina?
Yeah, so I've actually been doing this for 5 years now. So yeah, I turned 5 years on October 9th. So I've learned a lot from them. One thing I've learned from them is that they, it takes time to get to know them and for them to trust you, right? It's not like in 1 or 2 days it's gonna be like, oh, you know what, they're gonna open up. It takes time. So I think one thing I learned from them is that it's really hard for them to trust someone. Sometimes they don't live with parents. Sometimes, they don't get along with older siblings. Sometimes, it's hard for them to trust someone. I learned from them is that they need a lot of support sometimes, and they don't have that at home.
Right.
And if they try to get some support in school, sometimes they don't get it at school either. So, I learned a lot from them.
Yeah, isn't that interesting? I feel the same way too, yeah. I mean, getting into this, actually, I didn't choose to do it. It kind of like just chose me.
Right.
And I was going to echo what Catalina said. I think it's made me a better man, a better father, better husband because...
To understand children better.
Yeah. And then I realized through my work too is that really when my son was growing up, the only way to really try to help or guarantee his safety is to make sure all the other young people around are safe, right? And so, it's, I feel bad for a lot of young people that are out there that don't have anything. So it's like I'm constantly trying to recruit people to come and do this work with us, right? That's pretty much it. Yeah, I think it was just accidental, but I'm glad I get to meet cool people like you too.
Right. What strategies are available to reduce underage drinking and substance abuse on the west side of Chicago?
Yeah, well, obviously the
Well,
youth
south
council is
side,
one.
everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. We think, I think of there's a lot of different strategies, right? Doing what we do with the youth councils, getting people together for discussions. That's a great strategy, I think. Working with parents and adults and other people to teach them what we were talking about tonight, to ask curious questions instead of being judgmental or to isolate young people. I think
Right.
those are some strategies, right? To really understand why would people use or experiment with drugs and alcohol. And then, of course, let's figure out how to find positive ways to engage youth, right?
Yep.
I mean, when I think about, the kind of like lack of stuff to do, and then like it can be dangerous for some young people to go from one neighborhood to another. I think, how can we intervene in there and get in like really safe things?
Right.
For the adults that are watching the show, I really want you to do this. I want you to write down something called the Search Institute. They have something called the 40 Developmental Assets. So this is kind of like your own personal scorecard for you as a parent to be able to help your young person out, right? And it actually gives you like really simple things that you can do to really help out with dropping underage drinking down and substance use down, right? I met an African spiritual teacher one time. His name is Maladoma Some. And I always think about his comment to me. He says, Carlos, I love the work that you're doing. But there's something that Americans got something wrong here. He says that you think that there's this proverb that says, it takes a village to raise a child. He says, that ain't the whole proverb. You know what he said the rest of it was? He says, when a village fails to embrace their youth, the youth will burn it down to feel its warmth, right? And so that's pretty wise, right?
That's deep.
So the thing is like, how do we solve these problems at the front end, like get to the roots, as opposed to just looking at the back end stuff, the expressions
Right.
like the alcohol use, the drug use, the fighting, and all this stuff, right? How can we, I think, Fathers Who Care does, and West Care, and then our other partner, Grand Boulevard, we're trying to prevent stuff, get stuff at the roots, right? Yeah, so whatever strategies we have, and we got to be creative.
Right.
Make sure that young people know not just that we care about them, but we have to think of them as whole human beings, right?
Right.
We're not gonna just talk with them, we're gonna have fun, we're gonna have food, these other things, right? That makes
Okay.
sense.
So now I would like to thank everybody for watching, and I want to thank Catalina and Carlos for coming on and being our guests for the show today. We would like to thank our viewers for watching and calling in. For additional information and about our youth council, please contact us at 773-287-5821 and ask for Miss Princess. Thank you, and tune in next week, same time, same station, for our guest Carlos Rodriguez of West Care, who will discuss the 7 challenges for young people with alcohol and other drug problems again as well.
Thank you.
And now, if you guys have any ways for anybody to contact you if they needed to get in touch to try to be in a program or anything, you guys could tell them that if you want.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so you can get a hold of us at carlos.rodriguez@westcare.com.
Mm-hmm.
And you can always call our general number too if you need to. It's 312-568-7051, and they'll connect you with either me or Catalina. Okay?
Okay, thank you guys for watching, and we will be back next week.
Well done, Heinisha.
Thank you.
Thank you.